Come stand at the corner of the porch with me where the rain barrel sat. The water in it was soft and dark, with a skim of leaves on top, and it was cold on your hands when you dipped down past them. There was no bottle on that porch, no can, no bright label promising anything. There was a barrel of rainwater, a cloudy jar of vinegar on the windowsill, and a woman who knew exactly what to do with both. Maybe you remember her. Maybe you only remember her hands. You can still picture them, can't you? Working a little oil through the ends of a braid by lamplight, winding the long hair up and pinning it before the day's work. She never read an ingredient list in her life. She didn't need to. Her hands knew it long before the label did. This was hair care before shampoo, before the shelf in the bathroom filled up with a dozen bottles that each promised one small miracle. Back then, there was one wash night a week, a rinse that smelled like the kitchen, and knowledge that came down from a mother to a daughter to you. Sink to sink, hands to hands. Some of it was plain folk, the Amish and their neighbors, who still do a few of these things today. Most of it was just what your grandmother did. We are going to walk back through all of it. 15 things, counting down. And the last one, number 1, is the one almost nobody does anymore. Stay for it. Number 15, the rain barrel. Every farmhouse had one, tucked under the eave where the roof emptied out. After a storm it brimmed, and the water in it was soft. That word mattered more than it sounds. Soft water carried none of the minerals that hard well water did, so soap rinsed clean away and left nothing behind. Hair washed in it dried light, with no film, no dullness, no grit. Here was the trick. You used the rain water, not the hard water from the pump, and you dipped from below that skim of leaves on top, never through it. A child's job, often, fetching the soft water in for wash night. You can buy that promise in a bottle now. They call it clarifying shampoo or a chelating treatment, sold to strip out the very hard water buildup the rain barrel never let happen in the first place. Same idea, 100 years apart. A barrel of sky set out to catch the rain. Number 14. The vinegar rinse. There was a cloudy jar on the windowsill, and it smelled sharp when you got close. Apple cider vinegar mostly, or plain white. After the wash came the last pour, cold over the back of the neck, and that smell filling the small room. Soap left a residue, even good soap. The vinegar cut straight through it and brought the hair back to its right acidity, so the cuticle lay down flat and smooth. Flat hair catches the light. That is all shine ever really is. The trick was in the timing. The vinegar was the last rinse, never the first. You watered it down, you poured it through, and you did not scrub it in. The smell faded as the hair dried. The shine stayed. They sell that exact jar now, bottled and labeled as an apple cider vinegar clarifying rinse, for a good deal more than a splash of vinegar ever cost. The jar on the sill did the same work and asked for nothing. Number 13, rosemary, steeped in that vinegar. Some women took it one step further. Dark sprigs of rosemary pushed down into the vinegar jar and left to steep about a week. When the lid came off, the smell was woody and green and clean. Steeped that way, then watered down, 2 parts water to 1 part vinegar, it made a freshening rinse that women with dark hair swore by. They believed it brought out the depth and the shine in brown and black hair, and they reached for it whenever their hair went dull. Notice what they did not say about it. They did not say it grew hair. That claim is ours, not theirs. Today, rosemary is sold as an oil and a serum, promising new growth from the root. The old jar promised something humbler and truer, a clean rinse and a good shine. Her hands knew it long before the label did. Number 12. The EGG yolk wash. A single yolk broken into a saucer and beaten with a fork. You can almost feel it. The strange, cool slip of it worked through the hair and into the scalp. The yolk lifted the dirt without stripping the hair the way harsh soap did, and it left everything feeling soft and smooth behind it. Long before anyone printed the word protein on a bottle, this was the gentlest wash a kitchen could offer. The trick was the rinse, and it mattered more than the wash. You rinsed it out cold, never warm. Warm water cooks an egg, and nobody wants that in their hair. And you used the yolk, not the white. Done right, the hair came out bright and silky. Done wrong, well, you only learned it once. Now, the same idea sits on the salon shelf as a bond builder or a protein treatment, in a tube with a long name and a longer price. It started in a saucer. Number 11. 100 strokes. The brush was real bristle boar, set into a wooden back, heavy in the hand, and there was the evening ritual of it, the slow count at the mirror or by the bed, the long pull from the crown all the way down to the ends. People think it was vanity. It was not. Brushing drew the natural oil up off the scalp and carried it the whole length of the hair. The scalp made the conditioner. The brush delivered it. That was the entire point. The trick was to brush dry hair, slow, from the scalp down, and to leave wet hair au moins, because wet hair stretches and snaps. 100 strokes was not magic. It was just enough to move the oil down to the ends that needed it most. Now we buy that oil back in a bottle and call it a shine serum or a leave-in. She already had a lifetime supply on her own head. One pause here, one breath. If walking back through all this means something to you, take a second to subscribe. It costs you nothing, and it keeps these stories coming. Now back to the shelf. Number 10. Oiling the scalp and the ends. A small bottle kept within reach. A few drops warmed between the fingers, then worked through, and a soft sheen settling along the ends where the light caught it. Harsh soap and hard water stripped the hair. The oil put back what they took, and it guarded the dry ends from breaking. This is one the plain communities still keep. Among the Amish, oiling the scalp is a quiet, ordinary part of caring for hair that is never cut and rarely washed. The trick was restraint. A few drops at the ends, not a palmful at the roots, or you spent the next 3 days looking greasy. A little, and only where the hair was driest. The whole hair oil aisle is built on this now, sold by the ounce in pretty glass. She kept hers in a plain bottle by the sink, and a single bottle lasted a season. Number 9. The powder in the tin. Before the aerosol can, there was a tin of fine powder, and the faint, dusty smell of it. On a morning when there was no time to wash, or no warm water to do it with, you brushed a little through the roots. The powder drank up the grease and bought the hair another day. The trick, such as it was, came in the brushing out. You worked it all the way in, then you brushed it all the way back out, or it sat there gray and dull and worse than the grease ever was. It is the one thing on this list that came back almost unchanged. Walk down any drugstore aisle and there it is, the same powder, now hissing out of a can they call dry shampoo. The tin did it first. Number 8. Cold black tea at the roots. A cup of strong tea brewed and left to go cold. A small sponge. And the patient habit of dabbing it into the roots, a little in the evening, a little again in the morning. Women rubbed it in, believing it kept a full head of hair, and they liked the way it deepened the color of brown and dark hair over time. It was a belief and a habit, not a cure, and they would have told you so themselves. The trick was simple. Cold tea, never hot. The roots, not the lengths. A small sponge, not a flood. We have tinted root sprays now in a dozen shades to do the darkening part in 10 seconds flat. The tea took weeks, and it asked for patience instead of money. Her hands knew it long before the label did. Number 7. Sage tea for the gray. A pot of sage, steeped long and dark until the water turned the color of strong coffee. Then the patience to dab it through the gray evening after evening over days. It was a slow folk darkener, the kind of thing a woman did quietly for herself, without fuss and without announcement. Nobody expected it overnight. The whole method was repetition. The trick was exactly that. Repeated, never once. A little, often, until the gray softened a shade and you could hardly say when it did happen. Now, a box from the drugstore does it in 20 minutes on a Saturday afternoon, with a timer and a pair of plastic gloves. The sage took a fortnight and left no sting. Slower, gentler, and gone. Number 6. The lemon rinse in summer. A lemon cut in half, the juice squeezed into a cup of water, and the smell of it bright on a hot afternoon. Then out onto the porch, into the sun, with the wet hair loose. It cut the grease, and in the summer light it lifted the color a shade or two, a little brightness at the ends by August. The sun did half the work. The trick was to keep it for summer and to keep it sparing. Lemon dries the hair if you lean on it, so it was a now-and-then thing, never a daily habit. You can buy a lightning spray for this now in a bottle, scented to smell like a lemon that never saw a tree. She used the lemon and let the sky do the rest. Number 5. The comb. Horn or carved wood, worn smooth with years. The careful part down the middle. And maybe the clearest picture of all. A mother on the back step. A child settled between her knees, working the comb through slow on a Sunday. The comb did more than tidy. It cleaned along the scalp and spread the oil out evenly, root to tip. And the fine-toothed ones did the other job too, the one nobody likes to mention, keeping a house full of children free of what fine combs were really made to catch. The trick was to comb the scalp itself, not just the hair, and to use horn or wood that slid through, never sharp metal that snagged and tore. Today, there are scalp scrubs and exfoliating serums sold to do the cleaning part. The comb did it for the price of nothing every single day. Number 4. Wash night once a week. The boiler going since morning. The whole house's hot water heated at once and shared in an order everyone knew without being told. Hair washing was folded into bath night because warm water was work and you did not waste it. Here's the part that sounds wrong to a modern ear and is not. Washing once a week left the scalp's own oil in place instead of stripping it down to nothing every single morning. The hair was better for the rest. The trick, if you can call it that, was simply the restraint. Once a week, not once a day. Now we wash daily with strong shampoo and then buy dry shampoo to fix the dryness the daily washing caused. She washed on Friday and let her scalp be the other 6 days. Number 3. Kept up and covered. The cap, the bonnet, the headscarf knotted under the chin, the long hair wound and pinned and tucked away before the first chore of the morning. It was about modesty, yes, but it did something for the hair, too. Tucked up and covered, the hair was out of the sun, out of the wind, out of the dust of the road and the field. Less weather, less breaking. This is another the Amish keep to this day, the hair bound and hidden under the prayer covering from morning until the door is shut at night. The trick was to put it up before the day's work, not to let it hang loose in the wind, which the old beauty books warned against just as plainly. We sell heat protectant and talk about protective styles now. She protected hers with a length of cotton and a few pins. Number 2. The braid at night. Lamplight. And the fingers moving on their own, plaiting the long hair into a single rope before bed. The braid laid over one shoulder, the small last gesture of the day. All night, loose hair rubs and tangles and snaps against the pillow. The braid held it still and whole until morning. Understand what that did. It did not grow the hair. It kept the hair, kept the length from breaking off in the night, so it could reach its full length instead of wearing away an inch at a time. Plain women have braided their hair before sleep for generations and still do. The trick was a loose braid, never yanked tight, because tight braids do their own quiet damage at the roots. Today, it is silk pillowcases and satin sleep caps, sold to stop the very breakage the braid stopped for free. Number 1. Never cutting it. At the end of the day, the covering came off, and the hair came down, past the waist, longer than you would think a head could hold. Trimmed at the dead ends once in a great while, and otherwise left alone for a lifetime. This is the heart of it. Left uncut, protected, oiled, braided, washed gently and rarely. The hair simply reached the full length it was always capable of. Not grown by a trick. Kept. Allowed. Among the Amish, it comes straight from Scripture, the old line that a woman's hair is her glory, and so the scissors stay in the drawer. The trick, the last and the simplest, was to trim only the dead ends and never the length. Patience. Standing in for everything we now buy. And there is the whole cut-and-color salon economy built in the space where that patience used to be. So look back at all 15 laid out together, and you start to see the truth running under them. Almost none of it grew hair. That was never the secret, because there was no secret. Every one of these things kept hair instead. The rain water and the vinegar kept it clean without stripping it. The oil and the brushing kept the scalp's own goodness moving down to the ends. The braid and the covering kept it from breaking in the night and the wind. And never cutting it kept the length that all the rest had protected. That is the quiet thing we traded away, not a miracle. There was no miracle to lose. What we set down was patience, and the knowledge that lived in a pair of hands and got passed from a mother to a daughter at the side of a sink. One generation teaching the next, without a single printed word. The bottles on the shelf today are not the enemy. Most of them work. Some of them are wonderful. But every one of them is a small piece of knowledge that used to live in her hands. Taken out, named, priced, and sold back to us by the ounce. We did not lose the vinegar. We lost the woman who knew when to reach for it. We did not lose the braid. We lost the lamplit evening when someone sat behind us and taught it. Nobody hands you the rain barrel anymore. Nobody stands behind you at the back step with a comb. You have to go looking for all of it now, and you have to pay. And still, somewhere a grandmother is putting her hair up before the chores, the way hers did, and hers before that. Her hands knew it long before the label did. So if you came here looking for the trick that grows hair overnight, I am sorry, and I am not. There isn't one. There never was. But there is something better. And it is this. Your grandmother was not behind the times. She was not making do or going without. She knew her own hair the way she knew her own kitchen. She knew what the rainwater did and what the vinegar fixed, and when the braid went in at night. She knew it all without a single bottle, and she was right. You are not foolish for missing any of it. The barrel, the sharp, clean smell of the rinse, the weight of the brush, the braid over the shoulder by lamplight. That world was real. The care in those hands was real. And a little of it is still yours, anytime you want to reach for it. I will tell you one true thing. Every so often I catch the smell of vinegar and something green and woody together, and I think of a sink I only half remember, and a pair of hands I would give a lot to see one more time. If this brought even one memory back, take a moment to like and subscribe. The next one is already waiting. And then tell me this down in the comments. What is the one thing your grandmother kept on her shelf or by her sink that you can still picture the second you close your eyes?